I have recommended having a safety net, a fallback of a public option to kick in immediately if affordable choices aren't available to people in any given area of the country.
The senator in the spotlight, Olympia Snowe of Maine, on Good Morning America this morning, making it clear that there is no compromise for her on this issue of public option with a trigger.
Senator did say that history called and beckoned her to the vote. We wonder what history was doing since January. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And this warm pre-lunch feeling can go all day long. It's twitter.com/thenote. Just let us know what you think.
Kick us off. What is your top line today, sir?
All right. Reading lips. The Finance Committee is done with its work, and now all eyes turn to Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who's going to have to merge the two different versions of the bill. There are quite a few differences between the Finance Committee and the Help Committee versions of the legislation. And now when he's looking at this, David, he's got intense pressure, including from Senator Chuck Schumer, one of the top members of his own leadership team, to include a public option in the bill that goes to the floor.
The math here is fascinating, and you can see now the White House getting directly involved. Rahm Emanuel up on the Hill today, closed-door meetings really trying to hammer out what they're now calling this merger bill between Help and Finance to get that bill to the floor. You were pointing out earlier on the blog today, Rick, about Schumer's plan here. I just don't think I fully understand his play.
Well, his play is that if it goes in the original version of the bill, it takes 60 votes to take it out, to take public option out. So in that sense, 60 votes works to Democrats' advantage.
We'll continue to watch that. Meeting number 5 over at the White House. The National Security Team, that War Council, gathers around the table in the Situation Room again. This time, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will be joining by video conference because she's in Moscow. This is the 5th meeting, Rick, of this team. Robert Gibbs was asked yesterday in the briefing, what does the president need to learn that he doesn't already know in terms of making this decision? One theory out there is that they really want to see the legitimacy of the Afghan election fully be ruled upon before having the president go out there and announce his new strategy.
And, of course, 5 is not the magic number. They'll keep going. We don't have an end stage, really. This is still going to take weeks. An interesting report in the New York Times that says that there's more interest inside the administration for the Joe Biden plan, and that people are coming around to his views on Afghanistan. Hillary's happy. That's the message from the Secretary of State in an interview with ABC's Cynthia McFadden overnight in Moscow. Tells Cynthia McFadden that, no, she's not going to run for president. She's not going to run for governor. She's not going to run for senator. And now that's the end. Now we don't have to ask anymore, right, David?
I can only hope so, Rick, that we don't have to ask anymore. I'm going to take Hillary Clinton at her word. And finally today, New Jersey nail-biter. We got a new poll out from Quinnipiac University today in that New Jersey gubernatorial contest, and it is tied. We have Chris Christie at 41, John Corzine at 40. The key number to watch, though, is Chris Daggett, the independent candidate. He's at 14 in this poll. Both Democratic and Republican operatives clearly believe he is doing more harm to Christie than he is to Corzine. He's helping Corzine. And the proof of that is that the fact that the Republican Governors Association is now up on the radio and soon to be on television targeting the independent candidate in this race. So it's clear they think that he is hurting Christie's chances. We'll continue to see if Daggett can ride this free media blitz he's had from a good debate performance and a big newspaper editorial endorsement.
That's right. The Star Ledger of Newark endorses him, and Democrats were thrilled. They were sending that around as if it was endorsing John Corzine.
We're going to begin with the huge health care news out this week on Capitol Hill. Senate Finance Committee votes, and now the backroom wheeling and dealing begins in earnest. We're joined by the chairman of the Progressive Caucus in the House, Raul Grijalva, Democrat of Arizona. Congressman, thank you very much for being here, sir. I just want to begin with Olympia Snowe's comments this morning. I know you are a big advocate of the public option. You've been on here before talking about how that is needed to get your support. But the White House and the Senate, it seems clear that Olympia Snowe's going to hold the cards here now. They got her vote in committee, and they're going to do everything they can, which sounds like including that no public option or robust public option will be included, to keep her vote all the way through this process. What's your response to that?
Yeah, obviously it worries many of us a great deal that we're going to basically write the legislation to cater to a vote or maybe 2 votes in the Senate on the Republican side. The fact of the matter is, I think at the end of the day, there's going to be almost unanimity among the Republicans, both in the House and in the Senate, to vote against any health care reform. So I think it is a waste of time for the White House and to some extent for leadership to continue to cater to one vote when in reality, the best opportunity to pass it is with a solid, unified caucus of the Democrats pushing for reform with a robust public option. I venture to say that without a robust public option, a bill cannot get out of the House of Representatives. So I believe that if we do our job in the House, provide a choice in the conference, take to the conference a robust public plan with a great deal of public support, I think the Senate in that conference level is going to have to listen to that, and both the House and the Senate work their will. I think it is now the opportunity for the House to work its will.
Congressman, if it gets to the conference committee and the public option is taken out, if it's replaced, say, by a trigger option like Senator Snowe wants, the calculation in bringing that forward would be that progressives such as yourself would not sink reform over that. Is that true? Are you committed enough to say if it's not in the final version, forget what the House passes, the final version, you'd vote against it?
Yeah, I think we understand that we're going to negotiate with the Senate at that point. But the elimination of a public option out of a conference report after a joint House-Senate conference, if that's not in there, I can't support it. And
what about not elimination, but one that includes a triggered public option? Is that a fair compromise?
Well, the trigger will never occur, and that's our fear. People have talked about a hard trigger, but nobody has described what that hard trigger would be. And I don't think it would ever occur. I don't think the co-ops will ever really come to fruition and provide the meaningful competition that we're trying to do with the public option on the private insurance companies. So the consequence of a trigger is effectively to kill a public option.
Congressman, the Baucus bill, the finance bill, has a large number of people that would still be uninsured, including, I think, something like 15 million undocumented immigrants, according to analyses of that. Is that problematic from your perspective? Would you like to see that gap closed?
I'd like to see as many people in this country insured, and I think but the problem is, and it's consistent, that undocumented people in this country are not going to receive the subsidy from a public option, period. And that's the law, and that's the law that's been in place. I think it's short-sighted to keep permanent legal residents waiting 5 years. They've done it all legally. I think that is wrong, to keep them 5 years waiting before they can become part of the public option. So I think that that's already law. What is troublesome is that it's going to hurt employers, it's going to hurt employees, less people will be covered, and there is no competition to drive costs down. Consequently, insurance companies, as they do now, will continue to set the pace on how much it costs and who gets covered in this country.
Before we let you go, I want to turn your attention to immigration reform as well, sir. Do you have a sense from the White House when that might be taken up? Do you believe that the Obama administration is willing to take up comprehensive immigration reform in this election year in 2010 coming up?
I sincerely hope they are. I mean, that is a commitment both in a political sense and in a moral sense that was made to many people. And I think the Latino community invested in hope in this election in overwhelming numbers to help this fine administration and this new Congress that we have in this country. I think they're looking for a reciprocal response, and immigration reform is that response we want. That's the commitment that was made, and yes.
So you have a commitment. It's on the agenda next year.
It is the commitment that the president has made both to the Hispanic caucus, religious groups, has been that it'll be on the agenda next year.
Excellent. Congressman Raul Grijalva, a Democrat of Arizona, chairman of the Progressive Caucus there in the House. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Trigger doesn't get it done for him.
No, it doesn't. So now you got to do the math of how many liberals are going to be, let go on one side.